Our final segment on our best of on the Fan from Henson Park, and the memories come flooding back here. I would have been here late 70s with my little autograph book. Here's a little show and tell. Would have been a game between South Sydney and Newtown. I can show you some of the autographs I picked up on the day. Don Lane, #1 fan of the Rabbitohs. Paul Hayward, notorious figure off the field as it turned out in rugby league. Bob McCarthy, who was a real childhood hero. John Byrne, the flashy blonde-haired centre for the Souths. And the one and only Frank Hyde, the late Frank Hyde, who would have finished calling the game, not on the card table on the sideline, but from the radio boxes up the end there. So that is my rugby league antique. But you've shared plenty with us this year on the Fan too. Jacko, the Jiver from Tamworth, New South Wales. He writes, I used to collect footy cards back in the day. Now they're all mixed up in a box, but can I get a price on 4 of my favourites? Kurt, have you got those cards, please? Thank you. What about this one of former North Sydney and international back rower Paul McCabe with his eyes shut? Is that worth something?
They could have got a better shot. So
what's it worth?
50 cents.
50 cents, all right. What about this?
This is great.
No, it's not.
Jonathan Docking shoulder pads.
Jonathan Docking, one of the gutsiest fullbacks, little blokes to ever play the game. Wow, that is fantastic.
Oh,
what's this one?
1 minute, please.
From the Rugby League revolution that was Super League in 1997, it's a big, big ball.
Yeah, just gloves only, please.
Oh, sorry.
This is an artefact.
What's its equivalent?
Well, Tutankhamun's...
Oh, go away. Let me out of that. This is incredible because I can't imagine anyone outside of players would have got one of these. The 1986 Premiers...
Yeah.
Jumper, sweater.
Yeah, this 1986 Premiership blazer is just it's a fantastic piece. You know, there's only players, a few executives of the club, so this is a very, very rare piece, and to be honest with you, Vossi, I don't feel comfortable appraising this.
This is a New South Wales jersey. We're talking 78-79, Larry Corowa, one of my favourite all-time players. This is back before State of Origin. Look at the numbering, look at the stitched on, the number. There's no sponsorship. This is worn by Larry. What is this worth?
$2,000, $3,000. Really,
right.
Something like that.
For $160.
What?
This is the Rugby League Squash Cup. You go through the plaques, 1979, Michael Sorrodini from the St George Dragons, Arthur Beetson, 1980. Arthur was a sensational squash player,
Certainly
great
was,
touch.
yep.
And 1981, Ian Schubert, when he's playing for Wests. Yeah. Has John bought well for $160? The actual
Oh, my word, he's bought very well. You could at least add another zero on that.
Oh, there you go. Would it be... He says he's got a lot of glassware. Would it be worth more to display them all, or are they worth something in isolation?
Probably, if you got them paired up.
Oh, you show off. 1979 Test Series, proven by the logo, number 7 on the back. Give me a price.
At least $5,000. Anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 for that.
What's the value?
Well, I know it was valued at $35,000 about 10 years ago. So if you ask me, it's the same value.
What's it worth? Take us to the top. Jason Martin. And that's even signed. So,
yeah.
Wow, what's it worth?
Oh, $450, nudging $5.
$500? How good is that? $500?
No, $5.
$5. Dan. Thanks. Sorry. And you know what, folks? That brings us to the end of the Best of the Fan. Huge thank yous to so many people. Our little team that work on the show, but so hard-working. Lethal Lee, Madman Maury, Dashing Dave, Sizzling Stephen. To you, the fans, you've been fantastic with your input. To players, past and present. And to our regulars like NRL Physio and Dan Painter, you've just seen in the Rugby League Antiques Roadshow. Thank you, one and all, to all the teams competing on Grand Final Day and night. May the best teams win. Until next time, adios!
For probably some other, what others? I'll start again.
No, I'm not letting you.
So,
yes, injury to those ligaments, they can suffer. I don't know what I'm saying. No idea.
Am I going for it now?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was it. Oh, is that it? No, I think use that, are you?
We've been getting a lot of strange looks.
Let me have a puff on this.
On this bong.
The players I love to watch
It's emotional. I appreciate it. Now, the final one is intriguing. This 1984 premiers. Well, what was that sound you did? One word that describes being an NRL coach.
No comment. That's two. I'm sorry.
That's two. Pastor Soretti. God praise the Eels.
First celebrity crush would have to be Susan Boyle.
Oh, yeah. You're kidding, Bossy.
Panel got, can't see.
Can't say this is amazing. This is...
Feels good.
And...
Told you. It's not rigged there, mate.
Oh, one take if we get it. Logie. Logie.
Come on, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. There's got to be an investigation into this. Someone's got to be accountable for this.
This has been a Fox Sports production.
Antiques Roadshow, which is back next week on The Fan. Jacko says, is this worth something? Is this the only footy card where a player's surname has two hyphens? Mr. John Rebo Dabrasek. What's it worth?
1992 ET.
Oh, goodness gracious me.
Computer game. Yeah, just gloves only, please.
Oh, sorry.
This is an artefact.
So it could have only been worn by the player.
It's definitely only a player issue.
What about this?
This is great.
No,
Jonathan
it's not.
Dockin.
This is incredible. Amazing.
Well, I need to tell you, this is my favourite item that's ever appeared on Rugby League Antiques Roadshow.
Hello everyone and welcome to another week of The Fan. Great show coming your way tonight. Brent Sherwin, the former Canterbury halfback, Shifty will be in the fold-out chair. Our first Rugby League Antiques Roadshow for the year. Can't wait for that one. But first up in the program, let me tell you, everyone here at Fox League, we are huge fans of the game. I'm assuming you too love Rugby League. But what about the players? The superstars that play our sport? Guess what? They love Rugby League too. That's why we have this new segment called We're Fans Too. Back by special demand in 2019, the Rugby League Antiques Roadshow. This is the segment where you, the viewer, provide us with all sorts of Rugby League memorabilia and treasures, and we get it valued by an expert, Dan Payne, from Dan's NRL Collectibles. Let's meet him for the first time in 2019.
Hey,
Hello,
Bossy,
Dan.
how are you?
Now, your game, your business, you have a lot of footy cards.
Yes.
How many do you have?
Thousands. Thousands.
All right, now if viewers watching right now want to add to their collection or fill some gaps, you can help them.
Yeah, of course. Go to dansnrlcollectibles.com. Plenty of cards there.
Okay then, all right. Well, this is the note we start on this year, in fact, on The Fan. Jacko the Jiver from Tamworth, New South Wales. He writes, I used to collect footy cards back in the day. Now they're all mixed up in a box, but can I get a price on 4 of my favourites? Kurt, have you got those cards, please? Thank you. Be careful with those. All right, thank you. Now, the first one from Jacko, he says, give me a price for Parramatta legend Ray Price with third-degree sunburn. Fair call.
Cool. Sunburn and all, hot training day. Yep, Ray Price, $5.
Incredibly red. Sun smart you've got to be, folks. All right, the next one. Jacko says, is this worth something? Is this the only footy card where a player's surname has 2 hyphens? Mr. John Rebo Dabrasek. What's it worth?
Well, not a lot, unfortunately. 2 hyphens doesn't make it any more valuable.
Oh.
You're looking at $2.
But what if Super League had have taken off in China? Would it have been worth more?
More in China, but he's not very popular in Australia.
Okay, all right then. Okay, from Jacko. Last year he says you highlighted a Gary Jack footy card / sticker where Gary had his appendage sticking out of his shorts, unfortunately. What about this one of former North Sydney and international back rower Paul McCabe with his eyes shut? Is that worth something?
Well, it's not quite as bad as Gary Jack's.
What did you think they could have got a better shot? That's the only shot they had to work with, and he had his eyes shut.
They could have got a better shot. So
what's it worth?
Oh, 50 cents.
50 cents, all right. But Jacko, keep the best for last.
Right.
I have a card, he says, signed by former West winger Jeff Case. So it's signed, But look closely, boys. He only has one eyebrow. Now, you know the story of the one eyebrow.
I know the story.
Yes.
1980, pre-season training up at the entrance.
At the entrance. What a trip.
Yeah, and Jeff Case was an 18-year-old from the country, and he went drinking with two Western Suburbs forwards.
Ah.
Yeah, and he passed out. Lord Ted Goodwin just shaved one eyebrow.
Ted Goodwin. You bastard.
And then the next day, Scanlons came over to take a photograph of for the football cards.
That's it. That may be the only footy card Jeff Case has ever appeared in.
Well, it is.
And it is. And he only has one eyebrow. Yeah. Well, so what's that worth for Jacko the Giant?
Well, you're looking at the eyebrow. It's
Sure.
even been signed.
100%. What's it worth?
Well,
we're talking a fortune or?
We're talking a fortune. I'm looking at it's signed, one eyebrow. You're looking at $6, $8, possibly even $10.
Right, okay. $10 for one eyebrow. Dan, it's been a pleasure. Can't wait to catch up with you after a year. And things like a Broken Crushers CD will also feature in the show. That's Rugby League's Antique Roadshow. Oh, you're not allowed to talk. Well, that's been good, hasn't it? That's wonderful television. All right. See you next week on The Fan. Thank you. Okay, we might record this one. Yeah. Dan, how good's that? Brother, see that? Look at that. That's man love. There we go.
First. This is true. What? Yeah, I feel like Ponga would be a pretty common answer, wouldn't he?
He has had a few votes. He's had a few votes.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Oh, okay, that's the end of the interview. Okay, see you, mate. Bye. So,
I'm coming second.
that's it. There we go. You happy with that?
That was great.
That's a good one.
Oh, this is good.
That's good.
I'll use that.
There's got to be an investigation into this. Someone's got to be accountable for this.
This has been...
This 1986 Premiership blazer is just it's a fantastic piece. There's only players, a few executives of the club, so this is a very, very rare piece. And to be honest with you, Vossi, I don't feel comfortable appraising this.
We had a remarkable reaction to our last Rugby League Antiques Roadshow segment. Remember the Cronulla fan who sent us in a whole lot of pieces worn by club greats like John Docking's shoulder pads, a jersey worn by Steve Rogers. Well, something similar for this week's episode from a couple of Parramatta fans, Tom and Lillian Westcott, who write, they've over the years picked up some bits and pieces and now don't know what to do with them. Would Dan mind putting a value on them? They speak of Dan Payne from Dan's NRL Collectibles. Have a look at how he's dressed up because he's a Parramatta fan and this is the Cumberland Oval Bar.
Oh, this is royalty, absolute Parramatta royalty, Rugby League.
Crown jewels. All right, take us down here. Tom and Lillian have sent us this one. It's from the Jack Gibson era, a training T-shirt.
Yes, so all three grades mixed. You had a black team, a white team, a blue team, and it would be a mixture of first grade, reserve grade and third grade.
So it could have only been worn by the players?
It's definitely only a player issue.
Couldn't have bought. Okay, this one from the 1982 Kangaroo Tour worn by a great eel?
Well, that's right. Peter Sterling, first Kangaroo Tour for him, and what can you say about that?
He only just called me the other week asking, did I know where that T-shirt was? Here you go.
Really?
Now, this one here, this is incredible because I can't imagine anyone outside of players would have got one of these. The 1986 Premiers,
Yeah.
jumper, sweater, pullover, call it what you want.
Yeah, this 1986 Premiership blazer is just it's a fantastic piece. There's only players, a few executives of the club, so this is a very, very rare piece. And to be honest with you, Vossi, I don't feel comfortable appraising this.
Okay, all right, so
Priceless.
Jumper for players and officials only. All right, now we go to the last pieces from Tom and Lillian. Unopened champagne. Always wonder about this. This is from the 1986 National Panasonic Cup final. That was the old midweek final. Parramatta beat Balmain in 86. How did we end up with one bottle left over?
I can only guess, and I think they've just had enough of champagne and they've moved on to beer.
Right.
Now, the thing with champagne is it's very collectible because it was only issued to the players and the clubs to celebrate that night.
On the night.
So people can go and buy a commemorative port, but you can't buy one of these.
So what would this be worth?
Oh, this is quite a valuable item here. I'd say $700, $800.
Nice one. Now, the last one is intriguing. Eels 1984 Premiers. Now, hang on a second. Eels premiers 81, 82, 83. In 84 they lose to Canterbury. So how on earth is there a champagne bottle? Is this like the T-shirts that teams get make up for grand final day, get made up, but then they don't win, so they destroy, and this wasn't destroyed?
Well, I need to tell you, this is my favourite item that's ever appeared on Rugby League Antiques Roadshow.
Okay.
And if I move my finger, you'll see that a sticker has been placed there, so the bottle's been modified. And the first time in history, a third grade side has had champagne to celebrate their grand final win.
So after first grade lost the grand final, they suddenly said, boys, have some bottles of champagne. You won a third grade title.
Yeah, don't go home. You got all these champagne.
They stuck a little sticker on it.
That's right.
That's incredible. That must be priceless.
And the same again, champagne, very hard or unique for people to get. So this is worth thousands. Thousands. I don't want to put a number. Thousands.
It's been an emotional day for you, Dan. Thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Well, that's just about the show for this week. But next week, what a story, mate, on The Fan. We go back to this moment from the 2000 World Cup, Russia against the Kangaroos. Gavrillin in a dummy half and spins them back to the left with Campbell. Campbell shows us his skills. Donovan scores for the Russians. Donovan has scored for Russia. Can you believe it? They've scored a tie against the world champions. That's coming up next week on The Fan. Until then,
Go the Titans.
and adios. Alrighty, now the final one is intriguing. This 1984 premiers. What was that sound you did? What was that? We're exhaling or inhaling? What was it? Go again. I don't know. It's like.
Let me have a puff on this.
On this bong. You don't have to announce it, you're going to do it, you just...
Oh, so there's a pause, like you're just like, what is he doing?
Yeah, you just between these. You just take...
There's got to be an investigation into this. There's got to be, someone's got to be accountable for this.
He may have had a rev up at half-time. Ponga scores his first try for the year, Quentin Ponga. Thank you very much.
He's happy.
One front rower to another. Hello everyone and welcome to another week of The Fan. I'm just on my way to the Rugby League Antiques Roadshow. We've got some amazing pieces to show you later on in the program, and there's also a Dally Messenger thread, a Dally M thread through the program tonight that you're going to like. But first up, time for another instalment of a segment where some of the stars of the NRL talk about the players they love watching play. It's Where Fans Do. Well, as promised at the top of the show, some incredible pieces this week in the Rugby League Antiques Roadshow. They were sent in or provided to us by a Roosters tragic, Matt the Plumber. Now, I have to mention, none of this is for sale. Matt doesn't want to let it go, but he wants it appraised by our man, Dan Payne of Dan's NRL Collectibles.
How good's this, Bossy?
It's amazing. Here's some of the Eastern Suburbs gear, the Roosters gear, the tracksuit top, the shoes, the old jersey, thick with collar, bag. But we mentioned Dally Messenger earlier in the program, a former Eastern Suburbs Rooster. Now, this is some of the Dally Messenger apparel, not as worn by Dally M, but stuff that he put his name to. Now, the headgear, if I may, what an amazing piece this is, the Dally Messenger headgear.
Yeah, you just don't even see this stuff anymore, do you?
I can't imagine it giving it too much protection. What would this be worth? Because this should be in a museum, shouldn't it?
Absolutely brilliant. Yep, 2,000 to 3,000.
Okay, 2,000 to 3,000. Next up, the Dally Messenger boots. If you look inside, Dally M still printed inside the lip of the top of the boot. Just amazing.
Oh, it's a museum piece as well. And again, $2,000 to $3,000.
Okay, so Dally was all across it. But the last piece is, I'm taking a stab, the most expensive piece we've ever displayed on the program.
Easily.
Dan Frawley is the player's name. Now, this cap dates back to, what, 1910?
1910.
Kangaroo Tour. Yep. Tell us more about it.
So every tourist back then, they had green and gold coloured hat, and then they also had a club colour hat, such as this one.
So there would, well, okay, let's put it in actual numbers, if there were 4 Eastern Suburbs players on the tour, there'd only be 4 of those ever existed.
Exactly. And I don't even think the NRL Museum has a club-coloured cap.
Amazing. So I don't think I've ever seen one of these. This is now 109 years old. I don't want to touch it because it's gone very frail.
Yeah.
What's the value?
Well, it was valued for $35,000 about 10 years ago. So I'm sticking with that.
That is amazing. There you go. A piece of rugby league history. Who knew it even existed? Dan, thanks for coming on the program. More Rugby League Antiques Roadshow in the weeks to come. It's been another big show. It'll be even bigger next Tuesday night. Until then, adios. George Piggins has come out and said, Steve, go.
Yep.
What happened next?
I went in the dressing room and I was, obviously regret. I ripped my jumper off, threw it in the bin and left the ground.
What's this one?
1 minute, please.
From the rugby league revolution that was Super League in 1997, it's a big, big ball. We'll have former South Sydney star Steve Maven and his remarkable rugby league story. And even more remarkable, the items in the Rugby League Antiques Roadshow. What's this one?
1 minute, please.
From the rugby league revolution that was Super League in 1997, it's a big, big ball.
Yeah, just gloves only, please.
Oh, sorry. It is Rugby League Antiques Roadshow time again. We've got a couple of brilliant pieces provided by the viewers for our man, Dan Payne from Dan's NRL Collectibles to run the rule over. What are you doing there, Dan?
Oh, it's a Greg Dowling, Gene Miles Port.
Of course it is. Of course it is. We might have a little tipple later. Okay, let's have a look at our first piece for this week's episode. From Susan of Moonee Ponds, great to have a Victorian viewer, maybe our only one, has this in her kitchen. Given to her by a friend about 20 years ago, she claims never used. Let's have a look. Oh, a little piece. What's this? Unwrap this. Here we go. What's this? Ah, it's an NRL egg cup.
I know this. Wow. This is a 1999 Grand Final breakfast egg cup.
Amazing. Still in existence.
Yes.
So never used. What's the story behind it?
Right. There was no eggs. There was no eggs, hard-boiled eggs for the breakfast. There was a stuff up with the menu.
So there was scrambled, there was poached, there were fried eggs, and there were egg cups, but nothing to put in them.
No hard-boiled eggs. The funny thing about this, they were all thrown out, except one was pinched before they were thrown out.
This is the one pinched?
This is the pinched one.
So for Susan,
yes,
she got it given to by a friend.
Yes,
this is a piece of contraband on the fan. So what's it worth? What's it worth?
Oh look, only one in existence, and the history of the grand final.
Sure, what's it worth?
$6.
$6. Rightio. Okay. All right. Let's go to other piece. Now here is a story. Jake of Birkdale near Brisbane. I know this has seen better days. And maybe the dog has had a little munch of it, and the wife thinks I threw it away years ago. But, what's this one?
1 minute, please.
From the rugby league revolution that was Super League in 1997, it's a big, big ball.
Yeah, just gloves only, please.
Oh, sorry.
This is an artefact. It's been fossilised. It's hard as a rock.
What's its equivalent?
Well, Tutankhamun's tomb.
Oh, go away. Let me out of that. Tutankhamun. He's a good, big fan of the show. Have you ever come across one of these before?
No, never seen one since.
Right.
Since the Super League days.
So even munched on by the dog and stored in the garage for over 20 years, Jake is sitting on maybe something worth a little bit?
Well, it's still valuable, yes.
Okay, so give us a price. That's your job.
Yeah, $12.50.
Just like that, $12.50.
$12.50, oh, yeah.
Jake, congratulations. You're sitting on a Super League ball worth, $12.50. We might try and pump it up later.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, thanks, Dan.
Yeah. I can hear air.
Jeez.
got to be an investigation into this. This has got to be, someone's got to be accountable for this.
This has been a Fox Sports production.
Time now for the Rugby League Antiques Roadshow this week. Another couple of interesting pieces sent in by our viewers for this man, Dan Payne of Dan's NRL Collectibles to Appraise. G'day, Dan. What are you looking at there, my friend?
Oh, it's a Western Suburbs Magpies pen.
Wow. Great. All right. First piece this week from Kerry of the... Well, he's a Warriors fan, and he's got a backstory to it. Father's Day 2016. I was given this oven mitt and pot holder set. I've never used them, but I don't have the heart to tell the kids. But now that the Warriors played finals football last year, is this worth more and should I re-gift it? There's a bit of a moral question to all of this. Do you re-gift? What's it worth? Tell us, Dan. What do you think of it?
Well, Kerry's kept it in original packaging, which helps. Original price, $9.99.
In 2016, $9.99. So what's it worth now?
About $4.99.
Right, so your advice for Kerry?
Re-gift it.
Re-gift it. All right. Thank you, Dan. Very good. Outstanding stuff. All right, next is from... this is a piece. This is worth far more than a pot holder from the Warriors. From John of Ryde. Kurt, if you will, bring that in. All right, thank you. Okay, thank you, Kurt. This one. John is a Balmain Tiger supporter of old. This is supposed to be a statue of one of my favourite Tigers of all time, Tim Brasher. Not seeing it myself, but John wants to know how much is this worth and what is the background of the piece. You've seen one of these before? You know the story?
I know the story. I've never seen it before.
Right.
It was built in Nepal, up in in a remote village.
Well, crafted by the Nepalese up in the mountains, like a tribe or something.
Yes. They only had some sketchy information about Tim Brasher. And they're quite a humorous lot. They would find this a bit funny because it doesn't really look like Tim.
Well, he's very long-limbed. There, knee to thigh. It looks like a Sharon.
The skin colouring.
It looks a bit more like Andy Courier, who played centre, the British centre.
Does a little bit.
But he's very thin, not much muscular detail. Broken nose, would that have been deliberate?
Maybe in the transit.
No, it's in packaging, yeah. That's right, it's hard to get good at logistic help. Right, so John wants to know, right, that's a great backstory. That's a hell of a story. Didn't see that coming. How much is it worth? This one-off made by, for all intents and purposes, Nepalese monks in the mountains.
Well, that's
What's it
right.
worth?
Well, Tim Brasher may want to buy it himself. Like 10, maybe 11, $12 even.
$12?
Yes.
That is great. Segment just keeps on giving. Dan Payne, thanks as always.
Thank you.
Right then, Rugby League Antiques Roadshow. We always have good stuff, but on tonight's show, great stuff for our man, Dan Payne of Dan's NRL Collectibles. To look at, what do you got there, Dan?
Oh, it's a Robbie O'Davis coffee cup.
Wow. Well, you know what? That's something like what I've got to show you on tonight's show, because from Toby, the freak, I know I will never challenge Dan for the size of a collection. This is true. But I have a lot of glassware, and my two favourites are from the Chargers and the Steelers. Kurt, bring them in. Oh, look at these.
Oh, look at that.
Illawarra Steelers beer mug, Gold Coast Chargers midi glass.
Yes.
That's pretty impressive.
Oh, they both are.
Are they the real thing?
Certainly is. Feel the weight in that.
All right. That'd be from what? Shenzhen in China, would it?
That's from Harbin, China.
Oh, okay. Right, okay. So now for Toby, would it be, he says he's got a lot of glassware, would it be worth more to display them all, or are they worth something in isolation?
Probably if you got them paired up.
Oh, you show off.
Yes.
Yes, you just happen to have
just
a
handy.
Crusher's set handy, yeah. So that's worth more than these.
Well, yeah, they're a set, so.
But the reason, so you've let Toby down pretty harshly, I've got to say there. I think you've been a bit cruel. But if he wanted to sell this on its own, what's an Illawarra Steelers beer mug worth?
Well, that's a beauty. It's quite valuable, in good condition.
Pushing you for a price.
$7.
$7. That's not bad. Better than a kick in the teeth. What about a Gold Coast Chargers midi glass? You don't see too many of these around these days.
Yeah, well, Gold Coast Chargers, they're worth more than Steelers.
Right.
So,
So you're
even though it's a midi glass,
yes,
this is worth more than that. It's you're looking at about $9 up to $9.50.
up to $9.50. Wow. Okay. All right. Now, next piece. Let's put the glasses to one side. This from our second viewer tonight, from Charlie. I got these as a kid, growing up in the 70s, a Bears fan. How I still have them, I don't know, but I reckon Dan would appreciate them. Dan appreciates everything.
Yes.
And here they are. Thank you, Kurt. Footy poker.
Oh,
Poker cards. You know of these?
So this is perfect.
Hours of fun.
Hours of fun.
All right.
International footy poker this is.
Oh,
so you've got France,
France,
Australia,
New Zealand, Great Britain.
Great Britain.
I can play as France against Great Britain.
Yeah.
That's got to be better than playing Fortnite.
Oh, it
seriously,
does.
you know, let's just play. Let's just play. How much would this be worth? And footy, yeah, that's right, footy poker. How much would this be worth? A pack of cards like this.
Well,
Cutting edge game.
it's a full set.
Yep.
Original box.
I hope it is. With 3-point tries. Don't want to reveal all I've got, but I've got a 3-point try there.
At least $100
$100
for a pack of cards.
for a pack of cards. Footy poker. All right. So how do I play?
Well,
Not much idea.
I'm going to go try.
Okay.
I've got
well,
a France try.
Well, I'm going
What
to
do you
go disallow try.
So I've got a converted try now, Australia.
All right. Well, then I better kick off.
A disallowed try.
Penalty.
Who wins this?
Try, misconversion.
God.
Out of here. Now, I've got a question for you. This is a one-off question. Yeah. Because you did the Mad Minute last year, so I've just got one question for you. Can't have you in the Mad Minute again. You're in a running race. Yeah. All right, back in your Holy Cross days. You're going really good. Yeah. Sprinting. Feeling fresh. You sprint past the bloke coming second. What are you coming?
Second.
Correct. See, Mitchell, mate, I told you to get it. I did tell you that. I told you.
Yeah, I was on to say first.
He's not a dumbass like Maloney, James Maloney.
He said first, didn't he? Yeah.
Yes.
There's got to be an investigation into this. There's got to be, someone's got to be accountable for this.
This has been...
Yeah, it doesn't get any better.
No, not really. This is terrific.
What could it possibly be worth? And how is it still in pristine? Is it in pristine condition?
Well, it's almost.
Okay, then it is time for another Rugby League Antiques Roadshow segment on The Fan this week with a Panthers feel for our man Dan Payne of Dan's NRL Collectibles. What are you up to there? What are you looking at?
It's a Manly Warringah yo-yo.
Fantastic. Okay, right now we've got a folder added to our South Sydney bag this week. You are going to get excited. Okay, this is from Larry and Dorothy of Leonay, Panthers fans who are doing a spring clean, and look what they found and want to know what are they worth. Kurt, if you would, bring them in. Ta-da! It is a Panthers soap on a rope and some Panthers coasters.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better.
No, not really. This is terrific.
What could it possibly be worth? And how is it still in is it in pristine condition?
Well, it's almost.
As
almost.
used by Royce Simmons' body or something like that? No.
Oh, these are terrific. Look at that. Look at that.
Who thought of something so clever? Soap on a rope, you know, like imagine
So
that.
many uses.
Kids, this is what we used to have. The genius of someone, soap on a rope.
Yeah.
You know, prisons and all those places it can be used. What's it worth? Have you ever been asked to value a soap on a rope?
No.
No. Okay, this is going to be a tough one.
Well, easily $25.
$25 for the soap on a rope. Whoa. What stories go with an unused soap on a rope? Yeah, that's it. Okay, all right. Okay, well, Dan's our expert. Can't argue. $25 the soap on a rope. Let's put that there. Now, a box of Panthers 20 drink coaster action shots of your favourite Penrith Rugby League players. Wow. This is amazing. All the way through we go. Greg Alexander, Greg Barwick, Cole Bentley, Steve Carter. Through we go. What's that worth?
Oh.
That's a complete set.
It's a complete set. They're terrific. Paul Smith, great guide. Some great Penrith Panthers
Were Panthers
players.
the only club that did something like
Mark
this?
Geyer.
Do you know of other clubs doing coaster
Yeah, there was a
sets?
few back in the 70s. Parramatta, Penrith, North Sydney. Yeah, there's a few. But this is a full set of these. They're hard to come by nowadays.
All right, okay, well, drum roll.
So I'm going to go with $50 up to 100.
To the right Penrith Panthers
Exactly.
supporter.
Or rugby league supported. Or rugby league tragic.
Well, I think there's been a lesson learned on the fan this week. Do your spring clean. There is money hidden in your house, in the attic, in the garage, because you never know. You may have soap on a rope. Dan, thanks for coming on the show as always.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Whoa.
There's got to be an investigation into this. Someone's got to be accountable for this.
This has been a Fox Sports production.
Right, we're a little bit different this week in the Rugby League Antiques Roadshow. We are here to help you with rugby league jerseys to make them worth as much as they can possibly be. Now, earlier this year, we caught up with Brad Mackay, and one of the things we got Brad to do, the former Great Dragon, New South Wales rep, Australian rep, was sign a Western Reds jersey. Brad was the first captain back in 1995. Now, this wasn't a jersey as worn by one of the players. This was one out of Andrew Voss's collection. And now it's got Brad Mackay's signature on it. So how much is it worth? The man who deals in this sort of stuff day in, day out is Dan Payne from Dan's NRL Collectibles. Just having a little drink there. There we
I
go.
want my DB Stacey Jones cup.
Very nice. Nice stuff. Now, tell us, and for all our viewers, what's this worth? This is not as worn by a player, but it's a Western Reds jersey.
Yep.
And it's now signed by the first captain.
Well, key thing, it was a jersey that was made back in 95.
Yep.
So it's not game worn, but it's an original. It's not a reproduced one. It's signed by Brad Mackay, first ever captain for the Reds.
Yep.
But because it's not a game worn jersey, it's probably worth only a couple $100.
Okay, that's still good though. A couple of $100. All right, I'm happy with that. Now, is it worth it getting it framed? Would that add anything to it?
Probably not so much. It's more a personal preference.
Okay, well, you do have a framed jersey. Now, this is, again, some historical significance. The Eels of 2001, amazing runaway minor premiers, didn't win the premiership, lost the grand final. It's a grand final jersey, but not worn by one of the players, but all the players have signed it.
Yeah, well, that's right. Like, if you're talking value on an auction night with a good charity, this could have sold for $1,500, $2,000.
Yes.
But now you can pick these up for maybe a few $100s. So having the frame and the full team, if it's not a game worn one, it's probably not worth as much.
Okay. All right, now we do get to as worn by, and this is amazing. I'll just put Brad's jersey up there. This is a New South Wales jersey. We're talking 78, 79, Larry Corowa, one of my favourite all-time players. This is back before State of Origin. Look at the numbering, look at the stitched on, the number. There's no sponsorship. This is worn by Larry. What is this worth?
Well, this is another, he's a cult hero. The Black Flash, as he's well known. This is $2,000, $3,000.
Right.
Something like that.
Okay, let's add more value to it. Larry signs it.
Well,
even more so?
could be, maybe not. It's more personal preference. And if you frame it with some football cards, it's personal preference. Not going to put the value up. Another way to display it is sort of how we've got it now with a torso. Yeah,
being able to swing around, because I just love that. I mean, I love that number.
Yep.
And that's all that. Okay. All right. Well, we'll put that over there, Dan.
Would you like a drink?
I'd love a drink, yes. And we'll be back with more Rugby League Antiques Roadshow in the weeks to come. I'll drink out of a Greg Alexander cup. Very good.
Yeah.
Cheers, Dan.
Good, isn't it?
Bitter. Beautiful. Okay, we might record this one. Yeah. Right, we're a little bit different this week in the Rugby League Antiques Roadshow. Take two.
Searching a little high was Ennis. He's just said fair enough. Well, I got an issue. Mate, I'm not interested whether it's his first game or not. You don't tackle it in the head.
Mate, Terry Hill, he still tells it. He tells it now.
You just got dusted by a school kid.
Here we see here, Benji Marshall. Look at his footwork. If he's not a player of the future, then I haven't seen one.
Could you believe you were there?
At first, nah. Not at first, and then after a while it started to kick in that it was, NRL with the crowd and sort of big boys out there.
There's got to be an investigation into this. Someone's got to be accountable for this.
This has been
Has John bought well for $160? The actual
Oh, my word, he's bought very well. You could at least add another zero on that.
Oh, there you go. Well, on the Rugby League Antiques Roadshow, this may be our finest ever segment. Why am I holding a squash racket? Well, in the show tonight, we are talking about an old Rugby League players squash challenge that was run by the Channel 9 network. We're talking 1979, 1980 and 1981. Now, here's where the story goes. A few weeks ago at Penrith, a fan comes up to me called John and says, "You never believe what I picked up at an antique store. And can you get your man to put a price on it?" Our man being Dan Payne of Dan's NRL Collectibles.
Hey.
G'day, mates.
How are you, bossy?
Not too bad. This is Trophy Week on the Fan. Mine's bigger than yours because this is what John picked up at the antique store for $160.
What?
This is the Rugby League Squash Cup. You go through the plaques, 1979, Michael Sorodini from the St George Dragons, Arthur Beetson, 1980. Arthur was a sensational squash player,
Certainly
great
was.
touch.
Yep.
And 1981, Ian Schubert, when he's playing for Wests. Has John bought well for $160? The actual
Oh, my word, he's bought very well. You could add another zero on there and still buy well.
Yes.
You know, being a squash player myself, this is an artefact. This is as good as it gets.
Well, now, what could possibly be the story behind this trophy ending up in an antique store out in the western suburbs of Sydney? Do we tie it back to Ian Schubert as the last recipient?
Well, the only thing that comes to mind would be some sort of salary cap scandal.
So are you suggesting that Shuey had to dump this off because of payments under the table?
I think so. Well,
what do we say? He's a criminal? What do we... No. And don't sue us, but we're just putting two and two together here and getting five.
That's right.
That's amazing. So the Rugby League Squash Cup, who would have ever known it's still in existence?
And it's missing one
top.
piece on the top.
Sure.
But it's a beautiful piece, isn't it?
It's the real thing. Now, we go along to a trophy of your... Well, not of your own. It's been sent to you by a former great player, Percy Knight from the Balmain Tigers. Now, back in the day, kiddies, we had the Dally M Awards and the Rothmans Medal. So we had two Player of the Year awards. The Dally M's kicked off in 1980. And you're going to tell me this was the very first trophy that was awarded on the night?
Certainly was, because they had a voted best player of every team. And Balmain being out, they did it alphabetically. So Balmain was first, came off the rank.
We've got some video footage of this.
No judge had anything to do with this other than you people who buy and read the Daily Mirror and took time out this year to send coupons in voting for the player you believe to be the most popular player inside your club. From Balmain, he's been all over the place. In 1980, at the end, Dennis Tutty found that he was a halfback. Yes, Percy Knight.
You weren't lying. This is the truth. Percy got this trophy.
The very first one. Like, that's...
most popular player.
And feel the weight of that. Like, that's terrific, isn't
it? That's great. So, what if one of these, as with the Squash Cup, ends up in an antique store and someone happens to come across it?
Well, any year, I think a Dally M would be 1,500.
All right.
But being the first one, and the history of being the first one, 2,000 up to 3,000, anywhere in that range.
Well, that has been an absolutely mind-blowing Rugby League Antiques Roadshow segment. Dan, I'll let you get back to looking at this Crushers.
Well, they spelled collectible wrong.
That's interesting. There we go. I'm asking the questions from here, but you're looking straight down the barrel like you're being interrogated by police. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Hang on.
The rank.
We've got some video footage of this. So I decided
I'd like you to welcome now my very lovely assistant for this evening, Miss Julie Price. My goodness, I didn't realise I had to work with someone quite so glamorous. And that is the magnificent gold Dally-M.
The right to play in a grand final, which they'd battled for all year. So, that was it. 1970.
Come on, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. There's got to be an investigation into this. Someone's got to be accountable for this.
This has been a Fox Sports production.
It is Rugby League Antiques Roadshow time on The Fan, and there is a halfbacks theme to tonight's segment with our man Dan from Dan's NRL Collectibles. What are you doing there, Dan?
I've got a Billy T set of pins.
That's amazing. All right, now, this is a beauty. This is quite a story from Paul of Kenthurst. He once painted Tommy Raudonikis' house. Okay, stay with me on this.
Okay.
Tommy said you can get some old gear out of the garage to wear, and Tommy came out with a bag of old clothes. He pulled out some shirts, but in the bag that Tommy said keep were some jerseys, which Paul now wants to know, how much are they worth? I need Kurt's help. First of all, there is a Bishop, or a as-worn jersey by Tommy Bishop.
Tommy Bishop.
Great Britain halfback. Turn it around, show the number 7, Kurt. And then indeed, Tommy's own jersey that he wore for Australia in the 1979 series. I remember being at the SCG for the second and third tests and seeing the Australian team do a lap of honour with George Paponis holding the trophy. So, Paul, who once painted Tommy's house, has these jerseys. What's he sitting on?
Well, they're worth a fortune, both of them.
Okay, well, we'll start with Tommy's own jumper. I mean, this is as worn 1979 Test Series, proven by the logo, number 7 on the back. Give me a price.
At least $5,000.
$5,000 from Tommy.
Such a stature in the game.
All right, and I'll look after that, Kurt. Thank you. And Tommy Bishop, I mean, this is the old, thick, heavy jersey. The numbering is just, I've never seen the like of it, to be honest. But from the Great Britain side, Tommy Bishop, not from that same series in 79, but one that Tommy's picked up along the way. How much?
Probably $3,000. Only because he's a pommy.
$3,000. So there you go. Painting Tommy Raudonikis' house gets you $8,000 all those years on. Right, next piece. I mentioned
Was more?
Halfbacks. There is more. From Wacko Jacko. Please look after this. I reckon it is the only copy in existence. It's a cassette. Former North Sydney halfback Jason Martin. Take Us to the Top.
Wow.
This was his song he put out under the production of Molly Meldrum, no less.
Take a look at you and me. Come on and set me free. Everything I need, everything I need.
Just put we and us in that second time.
Everything I need. Take me to the top.
Yes, there's Molly Meldrum at the production session, the recording session of this, and they release it on cassette. Wacko Jacko, is he right? Is that the only copy in existence?
Oh, this is an absolute classic cassette.
Let's get down to the crunch. What's it worth? Take Us to the Top, Jason Martin, and that's even signed. So, wow, what's it worth?
Oh, $450, nudging $5.
$500? How good is that? $500?
No, $5.
$5. Dan, thanks. Sorry, Wacko Jacko.